Hello everyone, I've had a request, oh, ow, that hurt, for a YouTube version of my books and chocolates post. I'm pretty sure I've done a YouTube video on this in years gone by, but for the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years, I've been doing this thing every Christmas where I find the most beautiful books, the most beautiful chocolates, put them together and make sort of like the ultimate, relatively inexpensive, thoughtful, lovely gift. Can't think of another adjective. And it's not all about the visuals actually, because the quality of the chocolate is amazing and the quality of the books is amazing. I spent ages and ages choosing all of this, but it's very visual. So I'm going to show you some pictures now of the pre-done combinations of stuff. It's all about a really good graphic or beautiful book cover, along with chocolate that has interesting packaging. So I'm going to take you through my 5 favourites, because I always do 5 favourites of everything here on YouTube. If you do want more suggestions, and I think there are way more than 10 on the blog post, the blog post link is in the description. I'm filming on my new phone, so I don't really know how this is going to look. I know that everything that comes close sort of is in very high definition and quite scary, so sorry about that. Let's get cracking with the first book that I've picked for my 5 favourites. Oh, hold on, let me move all these chocolates. I'm so hungry. I haven't had lunch. My stomach is rumbling and all of my favourite chocolates are in front of me. So I might have to do some taste testing, some live taste testing. Right, here we go. Let's start with my 2 joint favourite books of the year, okay? So first of all, and already I've had some of you that have bought this book and reported back that it's like you didn't necessarily enjoy it, but you loved it, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't an enjoyable book, but you just thought it was so good. And maybe that's kind of what I was trying to say before. It's just intriguing and it's so well written. But it's not something you go like, oh, loved it, you know. So this is Burnt Coat by Sarah Hall. This is the kind of book, and it's paperback, so it's cheap. You can make this a really inexpensive gift. So you could pair it with the hip oat milk chocolate, which I love. It's quite widely available now. Or, and this is my fail-safe for every single option here, it's £2.75 or £3, depending on which supermarket. Tony's Chocolonely. You get a massive slab of chocolate. It's really lovely chocolate. And they do loads of different colours for the packaging, so it will go with pretty much any book. I think it looks really cool, really graphic. So that is your fail-safe. If you just don't have any money to spend, then it's a paperback and it's this, but you just have to choose the paperback wisely, okay? Anyway, so this paperback, it is for your, I want to say it's sort of serious reader. So your person who likes to look through the Orange Prize list or the Booker Prize list, you know, they take it really, really seriously, and they like good writing. It's not all just about being a page turner or, you know, like a love story or whatever. This is a love story. It's a story about death. It's a story about art and childhood and growing up. But it's also a really quite creepy story about an alternative pandemic. And I found it fascinating. So that's the first one. And I put it with this. See how pretty that looks. I buy a load of brown paper every year, recyclable brown paper. But Craft also do printed, recyclable paper. And I think that's really nice. And you can just use, you know, simple string to tie it up with. So you can be quite resourceful and quite sustainable with your wrapping on these and still make the most beautiful gift. So that's the first one. Now, my joint favourite book of the year, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. This is a love story set in New York. I'm a sucker for anything set in New York. And it's about 2 very different characters who are so brilliantly written. And it's basically about a non-starter relationship that from the beginning, I won't give too much away, but it's about the undoing of a relationship rather than a love story. But it is a love story. And I just found it really poignant, and it's very, very funny. You know, it's so witty. The writing is really cool and stylish and modern, and I just thought it was brilliant. So look, there's a big price range with these books. I mean, nothing's going to be, you know, 50 quid or anything like that, but hardback, you're normally looking at more like 12 to 15 pounds. And then these chocolates are more expensive. But if you wanted a really, really beautiful gift, and you want to spend slightly more money, then this is great. Look how that looks. I'll put a photo up because it looks better in photos, but you know, got your wrapping. It's great. Then we have An American Marriage. Lots of you as well on, if you are on Instagram, lots of you reporting back on this on Instagram who loved it, but it's a very thoughtful kind of book. And there are many ways of reading it, or there are, I suppose, many ways of sort of picking out the storyline that resonates most with you. And the one for me was just the sort of exploration of marriage and the boundaries of marriage. And it's talking about a very new marriage that didn't even have a chance to take root, and you know, to what lengths your loyalties should stretch, and at what point does just the sort of institution of marriage as a thing and a concept override anything else, you know, like your needs or your wants, or maybe you're in love with someone else. I thought it was a very, I mean, it's also about the American justice system, which makes you so angry. But for me, it was the portrayal of this marriage, and I just found it really interesting. It made me really think about things and how different my own principles are to maybe the principles of the characters in the story. Loved it. Brilliant. A very, very inexpensive option again, because look, we've got a paperback. Looks good with that. I could think you could get away with under a tenner on this one. I think that in my post, I paired it with Willie's Cacao Luscious Orange. There is nothing luscious about this. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's so bitter. If you love pure cacao, I mean, that really is what I suppose Willie's Cacao is all about. But if you love that bitter chocolate that turns your mouth inside out, then you'll love that. I just don't. So that's what I'm going with there. Pana Organic, Pana Chocolat. It's pastry. This is a really interesting chocolate brand. And they've really moved on since I first featured them a few years ago. They don't use, so it's gluten-free, dairy-free, not a lot of stuff added, chocolate. And you might argue that's not chocolate, if it's got none of those things in. However, it really does taste delicious. So this is a honeycomb one, a bit like a crunchy bar, I suppose. A free from everything crunchy bar. It doesn't have the same snap as chocolate. It's almost like eating chocolate mousse. A hardened chocolate mousse. It is so bloody delicious. I don't like all of the flavours. I'm going to put that out there. But the milk chocolate one, there's one with raspberries or cherries that they've had for ages, is gorgeous. This one with the golden comb, I would eat that over a crunchy. You don't get the same sweet sugar hit that you get from like a cheap chocolate. I find it's more lasting, and I find you don't need to eat as much of it. So if you know someone, or if you are dairy-free, gluten-free, I think this stuff is great. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm so cynical about everything in life. And I want to hate it. But it's really good. It's really good. Next book. Okay, what do we have here? So we've had 3 of those. Right, David Sedaris, Carnival of Snackery. I've picked this out as one of my favourites just because it was one of my favourites. In his diaries, so what he does, he starts off writing a lot about his family, and some of the things were so outrageous you couldn't believe that he was talking about them. Just brilliant. I mean, he makes me laugh. I can't actually read his stuff on trains or on the tube or on a plane or anywhere where there are other people, because I do snort unattractively and spit out food, and I mean, I laugh out loud. I lol. But he also sort of details his book tours that he goes on. So he talks about people that he meets at the airport, drivers, guests that come to his talks, and he's very unfiltered. He doesn't seem to have a fear of people's opinion of him, and it means that you just get a really sort of 360 idea of who he is as a person, and you become quite attached to him. So I have paired this is an expensive old jaunt, this combination. Okay, you could just use a Tony's Chocolonely with, you know, the plain milk one, which is a red wrapper. That would go quite nicely. However, good God, if you haven't tried these, one day try them. Rose and violet creams. Again, Charbonnel and Walker. And they're not the cheapest chocolates in the world. I buy them once a year as a treat at Christmas, and I eat them one a night, and I don't share them with anybody because they're really, really expensive and they're really, really special, but I love them. This really is a divider of people. Again, it's an acquired taste. They're quite unusual, but once you get into them, oh, it's like, they're like the quality streets with the rose or the orange, the strawberry or the orange centres. It's got that kind of fondant centre to it. Lots of people don't like those, and they're mad. If you think about those flavours, but flowers, sounds bizarre. Oh God, the comment section on this, I can't bear it. Give them a chance. What did I put with this? I can't remember now. Well, anyway, that looks good, doesn't it? So we have The Marriage Portrait, the latest Maggie O'Farrell book. Last year I recommended Hamnet. They're quite, okay, so it's a historical novel. This one is about the Medicis. So we're going right back to the mid sort of 1500s in Tuscany. And it's about the youngest daughter, Lucrezia, I don't know quite how to pronounce it, who gets married off at the age of 13 or just over to a duke, who turns out, quite frankly, to be a bit of a psycho. I feel like lots of them did throughout the ages, and, you know, still now, really. Powerful men with much younger girls, and just, you cannot imagine the horror of it, can you? Being that age and then being married off to like a big smelly old duke. The whole premise of the book is that it foreshadows. So it foreshadows. It starts off and you know that something really bad is going to happen to her, and then it goes back in time and it keeps flitting backwards and forwards. Some people hate that technique, fictional sort of writing technique, and other people love it. It goes backwards and forwards, and the horrible thing is, every time it goes backwards in time, you still know that this fate is going to befall her at the end. I'm not giving anything away. There's no spoilers because it tells you pretty much in the first few pages. And I really enjoyed it. And it's got a great cover, which is very important for this particular feature, because it's all about the bloody cover and the chocolates. If you haven't already realised that, there is no hope for you, and I don't know what to say. All right. So those are 5 picks. I'm going to flash the others up on the screen now so you can have a little bit of temptation, but do click through to the blog post. All of the links and the details are there. It's just a really good, solid, thoughtful gift that doesn't cost a fortune. You can tailor it to sort of any budget, really. Easy to wrap, easy to post, inexpensive to post if you have to post it, and just convenient. You know, you can get everything online. It's not something you need to see in person. That's it. So this is for the people who asked whether I would do a YouTube video of the posts. You have your wish. I need to go and have my lunch and not eat any more of these chocolates. Let me know what you think of my various picks below, especially rose and violet creams, because I think we could get quite the thread going on that. All right, I'll see you next time.